All right, let's talk logistics. And I want you to forget everything you think you know, because this isn't about dusty warehouses and boring trucks. No, logistics is the hidden nervous system of our entire world. It's the invisible force that gets that coffee into your mug in the morning and that new phone into your hands. When it's working, you don't even notice it. But when it breaks, oh, you notice. The whole world just grinds to a halt. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain, look at this hidden world, and give you the actual tools to make it better. You know that feeling, right? You walk into a store, you need that one specific thing, and the shelf is totally bare. Ugh, it's so frustrating. But that empty space, it's actually more than just an inconvenience. It's a broken promise. It's a failure somewhere in a huge global chain of decisions and movements and calculations. And for anyone who can figure out how to stop that from happening, well, that empty shelf represents a massive opportunity. So just how big is that opportunity? Let's try to put a number on it. That one empty shelf is just a tiny little ripple in a gigantic ocean. In the US alone, the business of just moving stuff around, logistics, accounts for about 8 to 9% of our entire gross domestic product. We're talking trillions of dollars. So yeah, getting this right isn't just about making sure you get your favorite cereal, it's about making our whole economy leaner, smarter, and way more resilient. Okay, so when stuff inevitably gets stuck, how do you get it moving again? You need the right tools, and that's what we're here for. Today, we're going to build your personal logistics toolkit. We're going to cover 3 essential concepts that you can take straight from this chapter and use to make a real difference in your first internship or your first job. Ready? Let's go. First thing in our toolkit. It's the most fundamental question in logistics. How do we actually move our product? And it sounds simple, right? But every single choice, truck, train, plane, ship, it's a really complex trade-off. You're always balancing speed, volume, and cost. This isn't just about picking a ride, it's about understanding the deep, deep logic of the entire global supply chain. I want you to think of this as your transportation compass. And just like a real compass, you can't go north, south, east, and west all at the same time. You have to choose. You need something there like tomorrow? Well, air is your answer. But you better be ready to pay a premium for that speed. You need to move a literal mountain of coal? Okay, water or rail will give you incredible volume for a super low cost, but you're going to have to be patient. And then, smack in the middle, you've got trucks. The flexible, do-it-all option. Every single shipping decision you will ever make is about navigating this map right here. So let's zoom in on the 2 heavyweights of the US freight system, trucks and trains. You can think of trucks as the nimble boxers. They're all about flexibility. They're the ones that can pull right up to a factory door and then deliver that single pallet of stuff to your local grocery store. Trains, on the other hand, they're the powerful weightlifters. They are the absolute backbone of the system, moving thousands and thousands of tons of goods from coast to coast with just mind-blowing efficiency. And when I say mind-blowing efficiency, I am not exaggerating. Get this, a single gallon of fuel can move 1 ton of freight 468 miles on a train. 468 miles. A truck, for comparison, can only move that same ton about 60 miles. That's an incredible difference, and it's why so many of the products you use every single day spend at least part of their journey on the rails. Okay, here it is, your first workplace win. Your boss comes up to you and asks, "Hey, how should we ship this?" Now, instead of just guessing, you pull out your mental transportation compass. You ask, well, what's our #1 priority here? Are we racing against the clock? Are we trying to cut costs? Are we just trying to move as much as possible? In that one moment, you've stopped being just an intern who follows orders, and you've started being a strategist who solves problems. That's a superpower. All right, tool #1 is down. Now that we know how to move our stuff, let's talk about where it goes when it's not moving. This is tool #2, understanding the modern warehouse. And please, forget any image you have of some dusty, old, forgotten building. Today's distribution facilities are high-tech, high-speed nerve centers, and they are designed for one thing and one thing only, velocity. First, though, let's make sure we've got our terms straight, because they're different. A distribution center, or a DC, is built to serve retail stores. It ships in bulk. Think like a whole pallet of soda heading to a supermarket. A fulfillment center, on the other hand, is built for you, the e-commerce customer. It's designed to pick and pack your individual order, that one book you ordered online, and get it right to your doorstep. So it might be the same kind of building, but they have totally different missions. And inside these facilities, the ultimate goal, the dream, is to avoid storing things at all. And that's where this brilliant concept called cross-docking comes in. The best way to think of it is like a pit stop in a Formula One race. A truck shows up, and instead of the goods being put away on a shelf, they are immediately sorted, moved right across the dock, and loaded onto outbound trucks. The goal is pure, uninterrupted flow. No storage, no waiting, just constant motion. Now, this diagram gives you a really cool bird's eye view of how a company like Amazon actually puts all these pieces together. See, on the left, you've got the first mile, where products are coming in from all the suppliers. They flow into that middle mile, those giant fulfillment centers we just talked about. That's where your specific order gets picked and packed. And then it's sent to a smaller, local, last-mile delivery station for that final little journey right to your house. It's like a perfectly orchestrated symphony of logistics, all designed to maximize speed. And here's your next opportunity to be a total hero at work. So you're in the warehouse, and you see pallets of the company's best-selling product just sitting there on the receiving dock for days. You can be the one to ask, hey, for our fastest-moving stuff, could we maybe set up a cross-docking lane? We could get it from the inbound truck to the outbound truck in minutes instead of days. Boom. You've just identified a way to get products to customers faster and free up a ton of valuable warehouse space. That's a huge win. Okay, let's grab our third and final tool. We know how to move our products, we know how to process them inside a building, but where do we put the building in the first place? This is easily one of the biggest, most expensive, most high-stakes decisions a company can possibly make. You get it right, you've got a massive competitive advantage. You get it wrong, you could be doomed from the start. And this isn't about gut feelings, it's all about data. So how do you use data for this? Well, one of the most common methods is called the factor rating system, and it's this beautifully simple way to bring structure to a really, really complex decision. First, you just list all the things that matter, labor costs, tax rates, how close you are to customers. Then you weight each one by how important it is. After that, you score each potential city on every single one of those factors. And finally, you just do the math. The location with the highest total score is your data-driven choice. Simple as that. Let's make this real for a second. Imagine you're on the expansion team for a fast-growing company. You've narrowed it down to City A and City B. Now, looking at the data, City B has cheaper power, which is awesome. But, City A has a slightly better workforce and lower taxes. Now, without a system, you're just going to sit in a room and argue opinions. But with the factor rating method, you can actually assign weights to what truly matters most, you score each city, and you make a clear, data-driven decision. And in this case, look at that, City A just squeaks out a win. And here is your final and maybe most powerful workplace win. You're in the big meeting about where to expand, and everyone is just throwing out opinions. Oh, I went to college in this city, it's great. Or I heard that state has a good business climate. You can be the one to bring clarity to all that chaos. You can say, hey, instead of just trading stories, why don't we build a factor rating model to compare our top 3 choices objectively? With that one sentence, you've changed the entire dynamic of the room. You're not just an intern anymore, you're a strategic thinker. So let's just take a step back and think about what we just covered here. This wasn't just a boring lesson in logistics. No, you've just been given a new way of seeing the entire world. You've basically been handed a kind of superpower. Seriously, from this day forward, you will never look at a can of soup on a grocery store shelf the same way again. You won't just see a can. You'll see the journey. You'll see the train that carried it across the country, the distribution center that sorted it, and the unbelievably complex web of decisions that brought it to that exact spot at that exact moment. You now see the hidden systems that make our world work. And what's even more important is you now have the tools to actually understand and improve those systems. That transportation compass, the idea of cross-docking, the factor rating system. These aren't just terms from a textbook. They're your actual instruments for making things faster, cheaper, and smarter. And that's really the most important part. By understanding how these systems actually work, you now have the power to spot all the little inefficiencies, to ask the right questions, and to propose smarter solutions. You have the power to make them better. So, I'll leave you with this. Just look around you, at the company where you're interning this summer, at the coffee shop where you study, even at the way your city is designed. Now that you have this logistics superpower, you're going to see opportunities for improvement absolutely everywhere. The only question left is, what broken system are you going to fix first?